Limpiando.
So we are on our second day, not second day in a row, we're like our second
Where's the
day
microphone?
of discussion. Okay. So day 2 of brainstorming in front of the camera, because we've been brainstorming every single minute of the days.
When we've been running, when we've been cooking, in the grocery store, literally everywhere. But I think we've landed on something kind of interesting.
Yeah.
How did that idea even come to you?
We're coming back and forth with like the topics that we discussed last week, and we landed on some topics, but we were not sure what to build. And then I was watching some podcasts or whatever, TikToks, and I saw this dude that just like kept building companies and selling them, building companies and selling them, building companies and selling them. So I was like thinking to myself, here in Puerto Rico, there's a lot of like more like service businesses, like for like labor, like whatever. And I was like actually on the roof of my parents' house, like blowing out I'm just connecting how I got to that. Like blowing out the leaf from the roof under the solar panels. And I was like, wait. Like I've seen a lot of people starting like a new business idea of cleaning solar panels, because that's becoming very popular here. But I've just seen like really in a shitty way, just like someone opening like an Instagram page and posting like weird pictures and saying like, I clean
like
stuff.
They're just not structured.
They're not structured. So it came to myself, like, also thinking of like, I've seen like podcasts and shit, and like people talking about like how those businesses of like baby boomers are like, they still make money, but also like there's no one to like.
Nobody wants to take.
Nobody wants it. So I was like
the examples of those are laundromats, dry cleaners.
Exactly.
What else? Car washes, things like that.
So I was like, why don't we just build the core, the structure of those business, like the branding, the structure, the everything, the workflow, and then just sell the idea to people. And I said that to her this morning, and we were coming to like back and forth, like what are places that
that could be viable for that
right,
kind of
what
thing.
Are service?
Because one thing that I was concerned with was how do we want to necessarily make a huge investment in real estate, or all the costs associated with having a physical business rather than a digital business or an online business.
Right.
But then you know how the tire thing came about. Sorry, jumping to the end. We were driving on the road, and I looked to my left or my right, and I was like, what are we gonna sell? Like tires? And then I thought to myself, wait, there is viability in that in some ways, because with tire, I mean, like everybody drives here. Pretty much you need to drive, unless public transportation needs to be improved, but you need to drive from place to place, so most people have cars, which means servicing is a thing.
Right.
But then we were kind of bouncing ideas off of this, and me, even when I'm in the States, I feel like I don't love going to get my car adjusted or like car tune-ups or anything. It just is like an area that I don't know that much about, so there's a lot of people that are just trying to kind of price gouge you or scam you in some way, especially if you're a girl. So we were like, what if we did this type of auto body shop, or whether it's tires or car servicing or whatnot, specifically geared towards women, because women drive cars, and why do you want to feel like you're being hit on when you're going to get your car serviced, right?
Yeah, and I feel that's a really cool idea.
And then you had the idea of being like, well, it's, you've got to wait there, and usually the waiting
right.
ones are terrible and
so
boring.
Why don't you just make a fancy tailored to women tire shop that like maybe sells coffee or like do nails or do hair.
Yeah.
That she told me about this.
There's this robot. There's this robot that I've seen online. I need to find the name of it, but it's a relatively new thing. I think it's only in California or maybe a few places, but actually in airports now too, I've seen them where they're like express manicures, sort of like manicure robot, and it, takes not very much time, like maybe 5 minutes to paint nails. And I figured that could be really interesting because, it's it's a high investment in technology, but doesn't require personnel to really run it, just maintenance cost.
Yeah, and then I just started thinking how to attack it in the way of like there's so many like niche or stereotypes, or how would you call that? That like how
concerns that people have.
So like using those concerns and making it into like branding, like don't get harassed by men, stuff like that.
And also those places just aren't geared to really women, I guess. Like look at Pet Boys. Boys is in the name, right? Who else? Meineke. It's just, it's not geared towards women, but also I feel like the branding, the feel, everything is more tailored towards men. So maybe there's a market there.
And also to get opportunity to upcoming students or women working in the industry of like auto repair, auto shop, because maybe it's a tire shop, but then it could be like oil change, some like light mechanic, stuff like. And I feel like women's will be safe because even me, I'm not saying only women, but even me, I go to the the car shop or something, scared to ask something because the guys there look so rough, and like if you like don't know anything about cars, like well, you're not a man, and there's like some stereotypes like.
Yeah.
So
we could break those.
We're gonna break those. So yeah, that's the idea.
That's the idea, I guess.
I think we're just
Let's start there.
Let's start there. Like whatever happens in the future, we like diverge to something else. But I feel confident in this. I like the idea.
We're gonna go do a lot of testing. I feel like that's the first protocol. We need to research a ton.
And we can just like ask girls around, women around, what they feel like. If they feel safe or they're like scared of going to like tire shop. I feel like that will be cool.
Well, let's see what happens.
So
first thing, research. Let's just we need to commit to doing a ton of research and figuring it out from there. All right.
I think that's it for today, or maybe later we'll like just come back.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like midday. We still have stuff to do. So, but maybe we'll come back later and like talk a little bit or like start researching. So,
let's do it.